Good afternoon, everybody. Today we have a very, I would say, apropos for the timing of the year, top questions answered live tonight. We're going to be talking about your top cold, flu, COVID, immunity questions asked and answered. So, as you guys are trickling in, we're going to go ahead and get started. Without further ado, here we go, everybody. Hey everyone, I'm Dr. Maggie Yu, functional and holistic medicine physician and the owner of MYMD as well as Transform. And I love educating and talking about all things related to root cause medicine to solve very difficult or impossible to solve clinical problems. Really, I like to think about what's causing problems and what is the root cause of it and how to fix it. So today we're talking about, and it's the perfect time of the year because we just started October. We're going into fall. I heard on the East Coast from by the way, where are you watching from? Tell me where you're watching from. Type it in chat. I see Washington's coming in. I love it. I heard that the East Coast, this is one of their first cold days today. And cold and flu season is starting to kick up, typically around mid-October. And so, if any of you are paying attention to that, and if this is a recurring like round robin for you and your family dealing with the cold flu season, and how many of you are out there are dealing with COVID and long haul and heard about spike proteins? And how many of you are thinking about whether you need to get the jab this year or not? All sorts of immunity questions that come falling perfectly in place at this time of the year. And I'm here to answer them all. Quite a few of you already pre-submitted some questions for me. And if you already have questions, type it in chat in the comment section right now. I would love to add them to the queue so I can answer them. Little Rock is coming in. Great to see you, Pete and Nance. Wonderful. And then Patty is coming in from New York. We're in New York, Patty, and Connecticut for Nicolette. Awesome. And is it true? Is it starting to get cold? Is this the first cold day in the East Coast? Tell me about that. I would love to know. Now, top cold flu immunity questions answered. Couple things. Okay. About me and my background, just to tell, I've been in practice I'm an actively practicing physician for the past 27 years as an MD. And I work with people on all sorts of hormonal, autoimmune, immune issues, POTS, dysautonomia, chronic pain issues, IBS, you name it. I love working with mast cell, histamine issues, a lot of these complicated, and we spoke to someone today about neurological conditions as well. So how I like to think about things is what's really causing the problem. And when I look at what's really causing the problem, I also look at what are some natural ways, along with all the scientific smarts that I know, and put them together and say, how do we deal with them? Okay. And of course, I work with people on hormones, autoimmunity, POTS. We have, and speaking of long haul, I would say at least 60% of the clients we're actively working right now have their symptoms were triggered by either the COVID infection or long haul after that. And sometimes it's a reaction to the jab. So does that fall in that category for you? Because it seems like one of those topics that people don't get enough acknowledgement about and don't work with enough physicians that really understand the impact of that and how some of these infections, these viral infections, are super triggers and super irritants of your immune system, right? How many of you can think back to, hey, when I got that, whether it's mono, Lyme or COVID, that was when some of my other health issues was really triggered. If that's you, type that in chat. I would love to hear more about that because this is real. And I think there's a lot of medical gaslighting, medical misinformation, and misunderstanding from physicians around this really huge topic. So I would love to hear more if that's you. Okay. Now, a couple things. We're going to get started with some of the first questions that were pre-submitted. And I have a question here. And if you have a question, submit it in comments right now. Okay. Our team is gathering them right now. So Stephanie145 asks, I hear conflicting information about how much vitamin D I should be taking. Everything from 1,000 to 40,000. Try 50,000. What is it? Which is it? This is a really great question, and I'm going to answer the vitamin D question really clearly, okay? There are thousands, literally thousands of clinical scientific studies, small and large, that verifies the importance of vitamin D as an antiviral protection and treatment. Okay. And vitamin D has been well studied in many conditions that aren't even related with immunity. But we're speaking today about immune function. And with vitamin D, a couple things is that dosing does matter. 1,000 is not enough. I'm going to tell you that. 1,000 is not enough for anybody on the planet. And 50,000 on a daily basis is ridiculous. Okay. So, absolutely, it is somewhere in between. And my recommendation for vitamin D generally is around, as a starting point for everybody in North America, it's going to be 5,000 IUs a day, which is why our vitamin D is 5,000 IU per capsule. And that's easy to remember. It's one a day. Now, more important about vitamin D is I want you guys to think bigger on vitamin D. There's actually a vitamin D receptor on every cell of your body, every cell of your body. So that's your immune function cell, hormone making cells. I'm talking, and your energy making cells. We're talking about your gut cells. Every single one of your cell has a vitamin D receptor on it. And imagine vitamin D as the big activator on the cell, like an on-off switch, really. And so it can turn on hormone production. It can turn on cells that are active in your immune system. And this is proven. Now, the other aspect about vitamin D is this. It's not just vitamin D and how many units it is. It's also the type and formulation of vitamin D is important, right? It's also important that you can actually get vitamin D from the sun as well. Your body naturally will activate and turn inactive forms of vitamin D into active vitamin D. So, does 20 minutes outdoors a day give you a couple thousand of vitamin D? Sure, absolutely. But most of us don't get that. And for that reason, vitamin D, 5,000 a day is what I recommend. Now, the second thing is I'm going to talk about is why, particularly, the vitamin D 5,000 with K2 matters, and a specific form of K2. So I like for you guys to think bigger in terms of the K2. Think of the K as the traffic cop, meaning we don't want the vitamin D to stick around in the blood vessels. We want it to go into the cells where it's going to become active. And the specific form of vitamin K that's with the vitamin D really matters. These work together. And that's why in our D5000, you have the specific form of K2 in the right amount that's going to help that vitamin D not only get into your body, get absorbed, but it's going to go into your cells. So that's vitamin D, 5,000 every single day. Anybody who's, I would say, 10 years old and older, that would be the perfect dosing. And then these capsules are also really tiny as well. So that would be my recommendation for vitamin D. If you have other vitamin D questions, please feel free to go ahead and put that into chat. But that would be what I would say. Now, I do want to advise something. There are doctors out there that are telling people, and I'm not going to name names, but there is a doctor out there, rather famous on YouTube, who tells people to take 50,000 IUs of vitamin D per day. One thing to note is that vitamin D is what I call a fat soluble vitamin. What fat soluble vitamin means is that once it goes in your body, it doesn't leave because it stores in your fat. So in fat soluble vitamins, you have to be very careful about toxicity, meaning accumulation and storage in your fat tissue. So I would never advise someone like he does to take a vitamin D at 50,000 IUs every single day, because it can just keep storing up and storing up and storing up. There is a thing as vitamin D toxicity. So dosing matters. Too much of it is a big problem. So dosing matters. The right type of vitamin D matters. The right amount of K2 matters as well with it. So I just wanted you to know, and that's vitamin D in a nutshell. Okay. And Kay says, loves small capsules. Swallowing pills has been a struggle for me. I totally agree, which is why I'm going to talk more. Especially a lot of people are talking about their families. This is a good question. Catherine says, do you take more in the winter and less in the summer, or the same amount all year? I like to keep things simple. I like to keep it simple by saying take 5,000 during the entire year, because realistically, the amount of sun that you get exposed to, whether it's winter, fall, or summer, it makes a very negligible difference, especially with the amount of sunscreen that people are wearing these days, the amount of clothing that you have on. We're not nude out there. I'm not. And so someone's giggling over that. Did I just say that word? I would say that just to keep things super simple, you don't need to take more in the wintertime. I would absolutely say 5,000 per day is a great starting point for everybody who's 10 years and older. There you go. All right. Next question that I get is Carla G asked this question, and keep submitting the questions, everybody. I love these. All right. Carla says, without fail, and how many of you are going to be a Carla here? My whole family comes down with the cold starting with the first week of November. And I feel like we're like going through family members cycling who gets sick and who gets re-sick again until March. I do multi gummies for the kids and kids cold and flu product like Advil or Tylenol cold and flu for their symptoms. But I don't know what else I can do. Okay, so to me, Carla, what you're asking for, what can I do to prevent this yearly whack-a-mole and recycling, the cold recycling in your family? How many people have this whole recycling cold and flu in their family? Type it in chat. So I actually want to really highlight, besides the vitamin D, something that is in my medicine cabinet is vitamin C. Okay. And vitamin C, there's a lot that goes into thinking about vitamin C in terms of the fact that vitamin C is very acidic. Okay. In that sense, like someone else asked the vitamins, should I do a vitamin C gummy? And I'm going to tell you no. Okay. And the reason being is that vitamin C in itself is very acidic. So in a form where it's going to be all around your mouth for a long time, that's not good for your teeth. It also has to go through in your stomach to become active. So there's certain forms of vitamin D that are going to be more active, more easily absorbed than others. Immune C Fizz is something where I like to think about why not drink your vitamin C in a form that tastes good, in a form that delivers the right amount, in a form that's also buffered. So, vitamin C, because of its acidity, is one of those things where at high doses, which is what we need it for, is used for prevention of cold and flu, but it's also used for treatment. So, in a clinic setting, for example, sometimes when someone comes in and they just got mono or they just got COVID, I'm going to be talking about, IV vitamin C. So IV vitamin C, which is like huge amounts in high doses immediately into the bloodstream, has been really well studied as an antiviral agent. Okay. So it is one of those things where how do we get that much vitamin C into you for prevention or treatment in a way that's buffered, in a way that's easily absorbable? So, number one, let's talk about immune C Fizz. Okay. So, if we're talking about prevention, okay, and I'll have someone, if we're talking about prevention, a what I like about immune C Fizz is it's like a immune boosting shot drink every single day, once a day. Why? Each scoop, and it's a tiny scoop, has about 2,500 milligrams, 2,500 milligrams of active buffered vitamin C in a liquid formulation, which means that when it comes in, it's going to be absorbed really fast into the bloodstream. There's something about the peak, the spike of vitamin C in that way, where it goes from stomach into the bloodstream in that amount, 2,500. That's like an immune shot straight into your bloodstream of vitamin C. So dosing matters. So it's a great way to deliver it in a liquid active form straight into the bloodstream. So that's one scoop a day delivers 2,500. When I think about how many milligrams of active vitamin C is needed for prevention, it's around 2 to 3,000 milligrams. So that's a really easy way. And I have swallowing issues, like Kay had mentioned, she had swallowing issues. So being able to drink the vitamin C makes things a lot easier for me. And we're going to be talking a lot about drinking as a form, as a way of boosting our immune system. Not only like how are we immune boosting our water? Well, one way I immune boost my water is by putting one scoop of immune C Fizz in it once a day. And kids can do that. Adults can do that. I mean, I have kids as young as 3 to 4 who are drinking one scoop of this per day because it tastes good. It's easy to get it in, liquid formulation, right? So think about vitamin C around 2,000 milligrams a day is great for prevention. Okay. And this goes in water, which you should be drinking water anyway. Does that make sense? I didn't tell you guys, everything that I'm talking about here, plus others, are part of my immune protocol. If you want the whole immune protocol, put protocol in chat and we'll get you a link so you can download the whole protocol. So everything that I'm talking about plus more you can read about, it's right there in front of you. And the entire collection is also on sale for 20% off right now. So I'm just going to share what's in my cabinet, but there's also a link if you are interested for stocking up on some of these products. And they're all 20% off right now. Now, so that would be one of the things that's really important for prevention for the entire family is about 2,000 milligrams of vitamin C every single day. An easy way to do that for adults and kids is to drink it. One scoop of this a day. So that's immune C Fizz. So I wanted to put that in there. Oh, and I was going to mention too is somebody mentioned the other thing that I like to think about also in my medicine cabinet is bee propolis. And you can get that off Amazon. Has anybody used bee propolis before? So there's a company called Beekeepers Naturalist on Amazon, and it comes in a spray, and it's bee propolis. And I like to have that actually in my travel bag. And at home too. Like when I'm going on the plane, I'll take the bee propolis and I'll do a couple sprays of that in the throat, and it's good immune protection for the throat and the mucous membranes right around this area. So that's just another thing that bee propolis, like it's great to have, and it's a small little bottle. Get it right off Amazon, and has a lot. Propolis has a lot of immune protective properties, and I'm going to go into a little bit later why the back of your throat, which is the mucous membranes, and your gut is 80% of your immune protection. So we're going to talk about ways with which we could bolster that. Okay, we're going to go into that. Yeah, those of you who want the protocol, put protocol in chat. We'll get that to you. Now, there's more. Jenny Penny asks, is chewable vitamin C good? Should I just go buy some chewable vitamin C? And the answer I'm going to say is no. And that's and the reason I say about that is because a couple things is it's really acidic, and to have a chewable form of vitamin C and have it all over your teeth, it's a very acidic thing. It's not good for your teeth. So I don't advocate for chewable vitamin C's, just FYI. Too much acid on your teeth would be my answer to that one. I think Immune C Fizz is a drinkable vitamin C. Drink it and get it down to your body into a liquid form would be way better, faster. But I also want to point out, what if you're like, how can I just take a capsule of vitamin C? And that's where Powerful C I'm going to talk about really. So don't do a chewable vitamin C. Do either the liquid drinkable one or just get a capsule. The Powerful C 1000 is easy to remember because remember, prevention dose is 2,000 milligrams a day. And if you're like, I'd rather just take a capsule of it, don't deal with the drinking or with the teeth issues with chewable, go with the capsule, and it's 2 a day for prevention. Okay. That would be a great way to just to talk about formulation matters. Don't do chewable vitamin C. Just going to let you guys know that. So here's a capsule form of that. Okay. Another question. Let me take a look. Oh my gosh, you guys are populating tons of questions over here. I love it. Rick mentioned silver. Okay. Rick Dunny said, what about colloidal silver? Okay. I loved this question about silver. Colloidal silver, I actually really enjoy using. And one of my biggest problems with, and in our store, it's called Silverado. Now, delivery method matters. And I'm going to talk really briefly about why I like Silverado is it's in a spray bottle. And delivering it and spraying it right to the back of your throat, deliver it exactly where it works is why I really like this product. So in my house, right in my medicine cabinet is Silverado. If I'm coming down a little bit of a sore throat, I'm going to spray a couple times right into the throat. Colloidal silver is very antibacterial, antiviral, right? And spraying a silver product. And the issue I have with a lot of other colloidal silvers is delivery method. Like I said, is it comes in a bottle. Maybe there's a dropper with it, but you're pouring in a cup and you're basically having to drink it down. And once it drinks down, it passes, it's not delivering it and staying where you need it. So I am a huge fan of using silver, and so 2 ways I use this product. Okay. Number one way, if I'm already starting to get a sore throat, starting to feel that, I go and spray 2 sprays. I would do more like 4 sprays on this one. I would do 4 sprays in the back of my throat. And about an hour later, I would just go ahead and repeat it. I would do it a couple times. And and people will tell you, like, in a family where there's like, let's say strep that's going around, and the first sign in the first child, or the first adult with a sore throat, get it started. But also the other people in the family should go ahead and do that. That's really helpful for this product. This product also comes in handy in another question. Someone asked about nasal neti pot. There was a question here. Angela had asked the question, what do you think about using the neti pot? How many people use neti pot? Type in chat. Neti pot is just a way with which you rinse and clean your sinuses. I'm a huge fan of using the neti pot for people with allergies. If allergy season, mold is a problem for you, also year-round, dust is a problem, or you get a lot of frequent sinus infections, right? How many of you are a fan of the neti pot? I like the neti pot, but there's two ways with which you can supercharge the whole neti pot hack. Okay. So on Amazon is a nasal navage. It's called Navage, Navage, where it's neti pots like on steroids, literally, because it's a machine that actually rinses through. And there's little capsules of saline that you can make really easily with it. I like that machine, and that I feel like the way that it comes in one nostril and goes out the other, it's like the roto rooter for neti pot. So that's one. I love the neti pot. If you can do that every single day for people that this impacts, that's one way to do it, is to get that machine called the Navage, Navage. But here's the other thing. If you know you deal with frequent sinus infections and you're making the water for your neti pot or in the Navage machine, take Silverado and put 9 sprays right into it and then do the rinse. And that's where you really take that colloidal silver and you kick acid. And that's the two ways I up level the neti pot trick. Is either you can do the neti pot, put 9 sprays of the Silverado in it, or you can also add it to the Navage machine, where you, instead of the neti pot, you use the Navage machine. Those are two amazing ways to up level your neti pot game. Okay. I just wanted to give you guys that as a heads up. All right. Now someone mentioned, let's see. Oh, okay. Jay asked this question, and this goes into how many people have chronic fatigue or long haul COVID, or have Epstein-Barr mono, where chronic fatigue is your major symptom. Type it in chat. Okay. Now, Jay asked the question, what about being really tired with chronic fatigue after being sick? Even if the main symptoms go away, I find it takes me a month, sometimes longer, to get my energy back, especially the last time I got COVID. Okay. If that's you, you're going to want to pay attention to this. Okay. COVID and many of the cold and flu viruses, and when you think about the Epstein-Barr virus, certain viruses love to attack the mitochondria. Mitochondria is the energy-making power plant part of every cell. And you've heard all these talks about COVID and spike protein. COVID has spike protein on it, and the spike protein attack on the cellular membranes. It loves to attack cellular membranes, and it also loves to attack the mitochondria. If these viruses are attacking the energy-making part of the cell, okay, then obviously one of the symptoms is going to be fatigue and chronic fatigue. Well, doesn't it make sense then? The answer to that is going to be, we're going to get your mitochondria what it needs to kick itself back into gear. And this is where I want to talk about mito recovery here. So when we think about mitochondria recovery, there are all these steps with which, can we make that smaller somehow? Thank you. There are all these steps with which we move electrons through all these cellular reactions in our body. It's called the electron transport electron transport train. And every step of that process has certain nutrients that are involved in activating those enzymes. Mito Recovery is the #1 product I recommend for anyone who just know that they just got COVID or is dealing with long haul with a lot of that chronic fatigue. And Lynn was just sharing this week, I don't know if she's watching right now, but she was just sharing with me earlier this week that she's been dealing with long haul. And the dosing for Mito Recovery is 2 in the morning, 2 at night, 2 in the morning, 2 at night. Within, I think she said, about 4 days of being a Mito Recovery, major turnaround in fatigue. And that's really important for me, not only in terms of, yes, it works, but it's also for me, like from a doctor standpoint, functional doctor standpoint, it's very diagnostic. I had a very long conversation with Lynn, and I was talking about how this tells me mitochondrial problems is one of the major causes of fatigue, is also the response to this product. So I love Mito Recovery for that reason. And it's 2 in the morning, 2 at night, 2 in the morning, 2 at night. Anybody dealing with chronic fatigue, anybody dealing with currently, I just got COVID, or I'm dealing with mono or long haul, take this 2 twice a day. You won't regret it. And how you respond to it is also helpful for me to know that, oh, it is a mitochondrial problem. Okay, there you go. That's called Mito Recovery. So I really want you to think about fatigue. And whenever you hear the word fatigue, think mitochondria. And yet physicians out there have zero training in mitochondrial, what I call mitochondrial disorders or mitochondrial dysfunction. And yes, viruses can absolutely be a cause of that problem. Okay, so Jay, great question. Thank you so much. Hannah asked a great question. Actually, hold on. Ooh, I like this. Joni has a great question. Joni's question is, can viruses stay dormant and get activated with autoimmune disease? And the answer is, holy crap, yes. Joni, that's a really great question. And I focus a lot with people working with their autoimmune issues, right? And I'm going to ask this question, and it may not be just to you, Joni, but to everybody in the audience. How many of you noticed that when you got a cold or flu or COVID, that it activated and it started a lot of either known autoimmune symptoms that you have or mystery symptoms that none of the doctors could explain away. And I call to you guys things like, how many people after COVID developed POTS, postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome, where heart rate started going up and down like crazy, blood pressure started going up and down, you started developing vertigo. You know, how many people develop more immune related food reactions or allergic reactions or histamine problems as a result of a viral infection, right? I'm not making this up because 80% of people we are currently working with have had and can recall a virus infection or a jab triggering as a triggering event to that. Okay. So we know this can happen. Okay. And I'm just going to share one mechanism here. So, example, I was talking about the spike proteins on the COVID virus. Well, spike proteins, when it infects and attacks your cells, and it can attack many different types of cells. But when it attacks, let's say, your immune cells, right? It goes in there, and these spike proteins essentially make little thousands of little cuts on each cell, creating a lot of damage, inflammation. And these damaged areas with the spike proteins all around it also is an extreme allergic irritant. So it actually triggers a lot of histamine like reactions. So all of a sudden, people are like, I just got this virus infection or this cold type thing. And all of a sudden, I feel like I'm allergic reacting to everything. And it's new. That's never happened before. This is where a clear case, a viral infection can actually trigger the allergic branch of your immune system to go nuts. Now, if the allergic branch can go nuts, can the branch for autoimmune disease go crazy? Yes, it can. And I see it all the time. So, Joni, that's a really great question. And that's why, for me, in talking to Joni's question, two things. Number one, with vitamin D, we will be really critical. Absolutely. 5,000 IUs of vitamin D every day protects from virus, but it's also in all the autoimmune and in the immune function studies, having a high level of healthy level of blood level vitamin D is really helpful for autoimmune disease as well. So that vitamin D 5,000 with the K every single day is really critical, number one. Number two, I'm actually going to talk a little bit about the other piece of this, which is immune function and how it relates with the gut. So let's talk about, yeah, there was a really good question here. Okay. So when we're talking about immune function and where it lives, let me back out of this question. Someone had mentioned, and it was Sia's question. Okay. And her question was about, I hear about leaky gut. You did a live on leaky gut last week. And I wanted to ask a question about bone broth, hot tea, what's in your gut? Do you have a favorite tea? I kind of want to just take that question and go one direction for a second, okay? Which is, do you guys know that 80% of your immune function, thinking about immune function, cold and flu prevention, okay? 80% of our immunity and our immune defense is in your gut, mucus lining. Okay. So what that means is it's not your gut intestinal lining cells. I'll go all the way up here to the back of your throat, to your ears, to the back of your eyeballs, back of your throat. All of this is connected. And 80% of our immune system lives there. Okay. And when I shift to the gut right now, talking about that, I know we mentioned that couple things. Vitamin A, for example, okay, and thyro A is something I'm going to talk about, is a fat soluble vitamin that taken at 10,000 IUs a day, which is one pill a day of the thyro A, okay, has clinical studies that actually shows it improves the immune function of your mucosal lining. So there are certain fat soluble vitamins like vitamin D, vitamin A, and these fat soluble vitamins love the lining of your cells, and they actually really boost the mucosal layer of the cells to protect. So if you think about mucus layer all the way back here, Vitamin A is going to be really important in protecting those mucous membrane cells. Okay, really importantly. Number two is what is on that mucus layer? What is also on that mucus layer? Last week I did a leaky gut and I had a diagram where I was showing that these gut cells, they look like soldiers and they're all hooked up together, lined up. But on top of their heads are like these hair-like structures we call cilia, right? And on top there is a layer of mucus. Okay. And that layer of mucus is really protective. And it's where, when I say 80% of your immune function lies in your gut cells, half of that is that mucus layer on it and the good bacteria that are on there, which is probiotic health. Okay. So we can't separate your immune system without thinking about what is the probiotic support of that immune system in your gut from good bacteria. We're also in the day and age where specific, oh, thank you. So you notice on the left side is the healthy gut, and on the right is a leaky gut. On the left side of the healthy gut, that whole mucus lining, you notice that good bacteria is on top lining it. So this whole thing over here with these cells next to each other, and you see healthy gut junctions there, those three lines, is an entire wall that basically is like a barrier that protects the rest of your body from these infectious agents that are coming in. So it makes sense, doesn't it, that we protect these cells with vitamin D and vitamin A, right? Vitamin C, these vitamins, right? But we also help the mucous membranes on top with good strains of probiotics, bacterial strains that are well studied to actually stick to the lining and also go through the go through gastric, and even after you take it, let's say weeks or months later, are measurable. They stay. They actually affect permanently and long term the immune function of your gut. And this is where the daily biome is going to come in. And taking a probiotic specifically with certain studied strains that are good to protect the immune system, have antibacterial, antiviral activity, and retains and stays in your gut is really important. So, everybody, I'm not just talking about cold and flu prevention, but if you take daily biome, and if someone can remove that, that'll be great. If you take daily biome, just one a day, it has S-Biardi, it has several other strains in there that are specifically really great as a daily function to help that 80% immune function of your gut be really active all over that mucosal membrane. So daily biome, one a day, is going to be sticking to that mucus lining. Now, when you go to the immune collection, there's also a chewable daily biome. That's for kids. So if you have kids, you're like, they can't swallow a capsule, get chewable, and they do the chewable one a day. And the advantage of the chewable also is people with a lot of dental, ear, nose, and throat. That's really cool because it actually spends a lot of time up here where it belongs. Delivery method matters. So I love the daily biome overall, period, as a capsule we swallow every day. But for kids who get a lot of recurrent strep, for people who can't swallow very well, there's a chewable biome that's going to be in the immune collection that you're going to want to check out one a day. Okay. Just giving you not only the strains that matter, but delivery method matters as well. All right. All right. Perfect. Now, to answer Sia's question, which is, we're talking about what's in my cup. Let's talk about what's in our cup. I want some questions here. And what is in your cup? When you think about, I talked about putting the immune C fizz every day, once a day in our water to drink, right? Why not do an immune shot every single day with the immune C fizz? Now, I am a huge fan of drinking warm drinks throughout the day. I love that. It's very nourishing in the wintertime, but I also love to think about it in terms of, if I'm going to immune boost a warm beverage every day throughout the day, what would it be? Couple things in here for me is, number one, I love lemon. Okay, organic lemon juice. I love ginger. I cannot lie. These are well studied. Okay, organic lemon juice, ginger is really great. And then a couple other things that I love putting in, okay, would be Manuka honey. I love Manuka honey, and not just honey, it's Manuka honey. I put either a quarter to half a teaspoon of Manuka honey in it. And the reason is, when you look at Manuka honey, and specifically, I've done an interview with Steen's Manuka honey and the family that owns Steen's, and I went into the antimicrobial activity and the prebiotics that is in really good quality Manuka honey. And so I put Manuka honey. And when I work with people with certain types of infection as well, that would be part of my protocol as well to help people clear infection and help boost their immune function. So I put organic lemon juice, ginger, and I also put in about quarter to half a teaspoon of Manuka honey in my drink. Now, a couple other things I think about. I I was just talking to Dave yesterday about how I love putting in also in my morning drink about half a scoop or one scoop of our collagen, pro collagen WB. Because if you think about the immune function of your gut, the mucous membranes, a lot of us don't eat breakfast, and or we do, but we don't think about the fact that we can actually support our mucosal lining of our gut by our drink. So by putting the Pro Collagen WB half a scoop just in my drink, I'm actually drinking the support of the mucus lining of the gut with collagen. Okay, right in there. So my morning drink has half a scoop of the collagen. The rest of the day, I don't. So that those are some of the things that I put in it. And just FYI. So those are some of the things that I do in my drink. I love that. I hope that's helpful. Organic lemon juice, ginger, I would put in, and then the collagen first drink in the morning. That's in my drink. All right. A couple other questions. Lisa. Nope. Patty. Oh, this is a good question. Patty Lynn said, I had a prescription vitamin D before. Is there a difference from yours? Hell yes. This question comes up too. People talk about iron and stuff as well. Um, in fact, and I'll use iron as an example, the prescription form of iron is absolutely the worst non absorbable, irritating iron that you can actually get. Um, just because something is prescribed by your doctor or is selling on sale at Costco doesn't mean it's the best form. And vitamin and iron is a great example of that because it is so non-absorbable. Now, prescription vitamin D, I'm just going to tell you, we have to think about also like the dosing of it. Prescription vitamin D is 50,000 IUs a day. That is a ridiculous amount to be taking on a daily basis. Number one. But if you're not taking it daily, you're taking it less frequently as prescribed. Okay, we're not going to argue about a dosage question. But one of the things that's really mission critical to vitamin D is the form of K2 that is with it to actually prevent that vitamin D from just sitting in the blood vessels and causing all sorts of calcium problems. So, vitamin D with the right form of K2 distributed daily basis really helps that D get in past the blood vessels and into the cells where it needs to go. So there is a big difference. And don't even get me started, Patty, about the kind of B vitamins, iron, vitamin D, vitamin A that's out there. Generally, that's in forms that's not even absorbable or good for you, and downright useless in some case, or harmful, like in some sort of some of these vitamin irons that aren't absorbed. So there is a big difference between prescription or some of the over-the-counter products and what I'm talking about. Thank you for that question. Pamela, great question. I have bad sinus problems all the time. Okay, let's talk Sinus Plus. Okay, and I would love more information, Pamela. If you can type it in chat. Tamala Teague Wellness. She says she has bad sinus problems all the time. I'm talking to all you sinus people out there. So, are we talking about year-round allergies, fall seasonal allergies? Are we talking about sinusitis as in terms of infection all the time? Are we talking about postnasal drip? Those kinds of, there's a lot of different kinds of sinus problems, right? And I want to point out, I love this particular product in thinking about that sinus kind of issue, whether it's allergic or infectious. Sinus Plus, I mean, when you're looking at, because you're hearing all this stuff about Advil, cold and sinus, Tylenol, cold and sinus, all this stuff. And I'm going to tell you, there's a variety of reasons why I don't do those things. And there's a lot of medical reasons why. I reach for Sinus Plus, and the reason is it's actually natural, and it's products it's ingredients that really work. We're talking really high doses of quercetin, which is known to really improve. Um, uh, the high doses of quercetin, which is really known to actually help that mucus layer in here and really balance the immune function in there. We're talking about different types of ingredients that are really helpful to actually, let me go grab it. Hold on one second. Give me 1 second. And then we're talking about the neti pot there. So hold that thought because I'm going to come back to the neti pot in there. Yeah, so a couple things, okay? When I'm talking about Sinus and when you head over to the immune collection, check it out. Number one, we're talking about really high dose quality quercetin in there, which is really great for immune function. Number two, stinging nettle. And I'm going to talk about stinging nettle. Some of you are in areas, and I know one of our instructors live in an area where stinging nettle grows wild. Stinging nettle is one of the most powerful ways to actually impact the allergic range of your immune system. So stinging nettle is in there as well. And then we're talking about NAC in there. NAC is really great to help your liver break down some of the histamines in there. Thank you, whoever decided to show that. So when we're talking about Sinus for sinus issues, I think neti pot, that we talked about earlier, Pamela, is really great. But the other part of this is, I think, taking Sinus, whether it's for allergy or sinusitis, like infection, twice a day. Okay, twice a day is really helpful for that. And I know during the fire season, the wildfire season, that was a really big product that I really recommend, because when we're talking wildfire season, there's also these allergens in the air, but also toxic fumes from asbestos, other things that are being burned. So Sinus, air quality, thinking about air quality, those kinds of things are really important when we're dealing with sinus issues. There we go. All right. Pre and probiotic importance. That's really great. When we're talking about prebiotics feed. What's the difference between prebiotic and probiotic? Does anyone know? Type it in chat. Do you guys know? So probiotics are bacteria that goes and sticks to your mucous membranes, and actually right away they're bacteria, right? But what is a prebiotic is prebiotics feed the probiotic to actually help them live and multiply. And so that's why when I was talking about prebiotic, I was talking about Manuka honey, because Manuka honey actually contains prebiotics, which is why it's part of my drink in the morning. Not only do I take a daily probiotic every day, but I'm doing like a quarter teaspoon of prebiotic in here, like in Manuka honey. And that's really helpful to go ahead and feed the good bacteria to proliferate. That's the difference between pre and probiotics. And that's why I love the fact that you're asking already. I'm not just going to take the daily biome every day, but I'm going to do that quarter teaspoon of Manuka honey, or think about prebiotics to feed that good bacteria for them to stay. Great question. Next question. I love that. My immune system is so overreactive. Okay. Jeannie, and we're going to be wrapping this up soon. Thank you, everybody. My immune system is so overreactive. I can't even go outside without getting sick. I call it sun sick. I'm tired and I'm frustrated. Yeah, totally get it, right? And I want to point out something, which is a lot of times with a lot of these symptoms, people are saying, where do I get started? And I kind of want to bring the conversation back to, what is something daily that's really important? And I call it like my 1, 2, 3. And that's thinking about, in this situation, in Jeannie's situation, and somebody was talking about ANA and autoimmune disease, where do I get started? Or I have long haul, where do I get started? You're never going to go wrong. And it's critical to start with a daily reset bundle. Okay. And with the daily reset bundle, I'm just going to go through 1, 2, 3. Okay. Number one, if someone can pull that up, that'd be really helpful. Boost Me, number one, is a product called Boost Me. And Boost Me, and part of the daily reset is 2 in the morning. I start with Boost Me every morning, because when I talk about that mitochondrial support, like helping you make energy every morning, helping nerves in your brain, Boost Me is a product to do that 2 in the morning, right? And that's like a critical thing, because everyone I work with, that the symptoms Jeannie has, and any of the other symptoms like autoimmune issues, POTS, you name it, or hormonal problems, they're going to be really low in some of the methylated B vitamins that are in Boost Me. And formulation really matters. So I can't even go through some of these prescription things with B vitamins and the over-the-counter B vitamins, and why they're useless and why they suck. There's a lot of reasons for that. But Boost Me, that's just going to take care of that piece of the pie. 2 of those in the morning, right? And right in the middle is Digested. Digested is critical for immune function, okay? And I know we're not focusing on digestion today, and I've talked about it with the leaky gut, with the histamine issues from other lives. But I'm going to tell you that when we say 80% of your immune function in the gut, I'm going to tell you that half of that is in your digestive tract and your digestive abilities. Every step in digestion is defense against invaders. Okay. All invaders, whether that's virus, SIBO, Lyme, bacteria, H. pylori, you name it. Every step in digestion is a military wall against that invader. So everybody I work with have one or multiple steps in their digestion broken. So that's why Digestit is right there in the center of this, which is if you take a product like Digestit, one with small meals, two with big meals, and every single meal, you're making sure that all of those steps are actually defending you. You just provided 10 layers of defense on 80% of your immune system by one product, which is digestion related. Okay. So digestion is 10 rows of defense against any infection. Okay. Period. So one with small meals, two with big meals. And then Restore Me is at the other end of this, which is really around pain, inflammation, hormones, sleep. So Restore Me is specific formulation of magnesium. And, I'm looking at Jeannie's case, and she's saying that, I feel like my immune system is really overreactive, can't even go outside, tired, frustrated all the time. Well, do you know that there's an epidemic level of magnesium deficiency that's responsible for like half of these type of symptoms? And specifically, I've done a lot of trainings around magnesium, but the type and formulation and dosing of magnesium really matters. And Restore Me has the type and form of magnesium that absorbs through the digestive tract, 2 in the evening, take it with dinner, take it with the digested, and it goes past the gut lining into your bloodstream, into the muscles. And it is a incredible helpful for people with neuropathy, chronic fatigue in their muscles, right? Because it's a magnesium deficiency, but none of these magnesiums can make it past, right? So Restore Me 2 before bed is really mission critical. I think about any type of symptom where people are like, I'm overwhelmed, I don't know where to start. It's a 1, 2, 3. Okay. So Boost Me, Digestit, and Restore Me would be the perfect place to start for everybody. And then you think about, oh, it's immune season. What am I going to add to this for me and my family for the immune season? Or, or I'm going to go travel. What's in my travel go bag in addition to doing something like the daily reset? So I think about almost accoutrements to this, but start with the daily reset and then you add in and layer in other things. So I get what you're saying, Jeannie, and I want to give everybody in Jeannie's situation is this is where you start with the daily reset. And then go learn about leaky gut, histamine trainings that I did, or hormone trainings I did, and think about what are some other things that I can add as needed as an accoutrement, okay, or as an additional thing. Someone said, "Isn't vitamin D like a steroid?" No, vitamin D is not a steroid. It is a hormone, but it's not a steroid. Nicolette. Patient with CD, are you still recommending a daily biome? Okay, so I think we went through. Let's see. Oh, this is a good question. Hold on one second. Diana says after COVID, she had crazy histamine issues with itching and sneezing. So I really want to point out that we're not just talking about cold and flu. Some of you're starting allergy season, or you might be dealing with this underlying histamine issue. So everything that I mentioned here around cold and flu, it actually is applicable towards allergy season or people dealing with histamine problems. And some people have year-round mold, year-round dust issues. So when we're dealing with histamine issues, last week, or I think a week or two ago, I did a live all around histamines, right? And histamines can show up as itching and sneezing, like in Diana's case, but it can also show up as leaky gut. It can show up as POTS and dysautonomia. It can show up as an autoimmune flare. We talked about how it can show up in many ways. And in talking about histamine, I just want to make sure that I mentioned that environmental histamines, like with itching and sneezing, environmental allergy issues, I didn't get to talk about Sinus in the histamine live. So I just want to emphasize that in Sinus, which is the product I had mentioned for people with sinus issues, sinusitis, it's also for people with environmental histamine issues. Sinus is really great, 2 twice a day. So it's 4 a day. And We talked about the active ingredients in there being bromelain, being quercetin, being the stinging nettle. It's really great for that and NAC. This is a great environmental histamine product, Cyane Plus, 2 twice a day. That's 4 total per day. Okay, I think that is a wrap. Now, what I would do is a couple things. Look, of course, we went through biggest Q&A questions. I went past more than even the top 5. I think I went through the top 10 things. If you want to remember all of this and you want my protocol, my immune protocol, go ahead and put protocol in chat. There's a link for you to go and download my whole immune protocol where all this information is so that you don't have to remember it. I know it was a lot. Now, of course, I work with people that are dealing with chronic immune issues, whether it's COVID, long haul, right? Or long haul triggered problems with autoimmune issues or with POTS dysautonomia, right? Of course, we work with issues with all these issues and histamine issues. If you're interested in learning more about how I directly work with me and our team on these issues relating with the immune function or autoimmune function or COVID, you can take our 360 assessment where I can learn a heck of a lot more about you. So if you want to learn about, if you want to work with me or learn how I can work with you on that, take our 360 assessment and just put 360 in chat and we will get that to you. And so we can learn a lot about you and really evaluate your case. So perfect. I hope that if this was helpful for you, can you type in chat one thing that you learned today that was helpful? I would love to know. If there's one person that would benefit from learning more about this, I would go ahead and share this with them or put their name in chat. That'd be really great. Laura, great to see you. Awesome. All right, everybody, that is a wrap, and I will see you guys next week. Same bat time, same bat channel, everybody. Thank you.